Throughout history, battlefields have been filled with men. But every now and then, women have emerged, so fierce, so fearless, that they struck fear even into the hearts of the bravest warriors. They were queens, leaders, generals, but most importantly, they were warriors. Today, we bring you one of the strongest and most legendary female warriors in history. Her name is Tomyris, the queen of the Saka Turkic tribes. Now let's take a look at 10 facts about this extraordinary woman that very few people know. Are you ready? Let's begin. And trust me, fact number 5 will leave you absolutely shocked. Fact 1. Tomyris, queen of the Saka tribes. Tomyris was the queen of the ancient Saka tribes, Turkic nomads who lived in the 6th century BC across Central Asia, especially in regions that are now Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and around the Caspian Sea. These tribes lived a nomadic life, fought on horseback, and placed freedom above all else. In a society where men dominated every aspect of life, Tomyris rose to power as queen. But this wasn't just a royal title. She was the commander of her people, their protector, and their spiritual leader. At a time when women were expected to stay in the background, her rise as a tribal ruler was both rare and incredibly courageous. Even in her own time, her name was spoken with fear and reverence, because Tomyris wasn't just a monarch, she was a true warrior for her people. Fact 2. She took power after her husband's death. Tomyris's life was tested not only on the battlefield, but also through deep personal tragedy. She was the wife of Spargapases, the ruler of the Saka tribes. At a time when the ruthless and brutal Persian Empire was closing in, Spargapases suddenly lost his life. His death shook the entire tribe. They were now a people without a leader, in the exact moment their enemies were waiting for. But Tomyris did not back down. She stood before her people and took command. In an age where women were rarely accepted as leaders, Tomyris's decision was more than an act of bravery. It was a direct challenge to history itself. She stepped into Spargapas's role and united her people, not just as a queen, but as a mother, a woman, and a fearless leader. From that moment on, Tomyris's name became more than just that of a ruler. It became a symbol of the warrior spirit, fierce, determined, and unbreakable. Fact 3. Cyrus the Great wanted to take her land. One of the most powerful emperors of the ancient world, Cyrus the Great, founder of the Persian Empire, had already conquered most of Asia. Few rulers could resist him. His thirst for wealth and land drove his unstoppable military campaigns. Eventually, his eyes turned toward the lands of Tomyris, the vast open steppes of modern-day Central Asia. But instead of attacking with force, Cyrus first tried deception. He sent envoys to Tomyris with a proposal of marriage, pretending it was for peace and unity. But Tomyris wasn't fooled for a second. She immediately rejected the offer. She saw through the real plan, a hidden attempt to seize her lands and enslave her people. Tomyris would never trade her freedom or her power, not even for the promise of a royal alliance. This moment revealed not only her sharp political mind, but her unyielding principles as a leader. She was strong enough to fight and wise enough to see the enemy before he even struck. Fact 4. The death of her son changed everything. Tomyris had only one son, Spargapases. He was young, brave, and deeply loyal to his mother. But Cyrus the Great hadn't given up on his tricks. He set a trap using a false offer of peace, and Tomyris's son fell into it. Spargapases was taken captive by Cyrus. According to legend, when he realized he had been deceived and humiliated, he took his own life while in captivity. When the news reached Tomyris, it shattered her, not only as a queen, but as a mother. From that moment on, this wasn't just a war for land. It became a mother's vengeance. There was fire in her eyes now, only one goal: revenge. Tomyris gathered her strength, her army, and made a decision that would go down in history. She would face Cyrus the Great in open battle. Fact 5. A great battle took place. The tragic death of her son opened a wound in Tomyris's heart that would never heal. But she did not weep. She did not fall to her knees. She stood tall and gave the order: "Gather the warriors. If our land was taken by blood, it will be reclaimed by blood." She took up her shield and sword, and led her army into battle herself. A woman standing tall in a place where only men had walked for centuries. The Saka warriors, sword-wielding women, arrow-shooting elders, and mothers who had lost everything, all rallied around their queen. And then, the day came. On the open steppes of Central Asia, a battle began that would be remembered forever. On one side, Cyrus the Great, ruler of the vast Persian Empire. On the other, Tomyris, a grieving mother and fearless leader, burning with the fire of justice. The earth shook, the skies roared, arrows rained down like storms, and when the dust settled, only one truth remained. Tomyris had won. Cyrus the Great, the emperor who had never been defeated, was killed in that battle. His sword lay buried in the ground, his pride broken. The Saka warriors stood in silence, bowing their heads to their queen, because this was not just the end of a war, it was the end of an era. A moment where justice, vengeance, and the power of a woman shook an empire. Tomyris lifted her head, looked across the battlefield, and whispered, "Now this land will rest in peace, with the soul of my son." Her sword wasn't just made of iron, it was forged from the fire of a mother's grief. And that fire brought an empire to its knees. Fact 6. She threw Cyrus's head into a bag of blood. The battle was over, but the rage in Tomyris's heart had not faded. Her son's blood still soaked the earth. A mother's cry echoed through the skies. The body of Cyrus was brought before her. But Tomyris's eyes searched for only one thing: his head. According to legend, Tomyris ordered Cyrus's head to be severed from his body. Then she called for a leather bag filled with blood, and in front of all, she threw the head of the world's greatest emperor into that bag. Anne said these unforgettable words: "You destroyed my son by taking his life. Now, drink your fill of blood, if that's what you thirsted for." This was not just vengeance. This was a manifestation of justice, written in blood. With that act, Tomyris didn't just kill Cyrus. She destroyed his legend. That moment was burned into the pages of history, and even after thousands of years, the world still remembers. A mother's fury can bring down an empire. Fact 7. Historians turned her into legend. Tomyris's name didn't fade with time. She was remembered not just as a queen, but as a legend. Her courage, her leadership, and her victory shocked not only her people, but also her enemies. Even Herodotus, the father of history, wrote extensively about Tomyris. He portrayed her not just as a female ruler, but as one of the bravest leaders of all time. In Herodotus's works, the dramatic tale of Tomyris and the death of Cyrus is told in vivid detail. So vivid, in fact, that generations later, people began to ask, was she real or a myth? Tomyris became more than a figure of history. She became a symbol, a story passed down through time. And that story, with every new generation, continues to grow stronger and continues to inspire. Fact 8. She became a symbol of female leadership. Throughout history, countless emperors and conquerors rose to power, most by spreading fear and ruling with a sword. But Tomyris, she fought not just enemies, but the course of history itself. At a time when being a woman meant silence and submission, she raised her voice and became the voice of all silenced women. Tomyris's legacy didn't fade into dusty history books. She became a symbol for today's world. In every woman who stands for freedom, who defends her people, who refuses injustice, Tomyris lives on. She inspires warrior mothers, bold daughters, and leaders rising from the ashes. Tomyris didn't just belong to the past. She's a guiding light for the future. And wherever women march for justice, raise their voices in parliaments or in the streets, her pride walks with them. Because she proved, being a woman is not weakness. It means to protect, to build, and if needed, to fight. And she left us with a truth. When a woman rises to fight, nothing will ever be the same again. Fact 9. She's a hero in the Turkic world. Tomyris is not just a queen of the past. She is a hero in the heart of the entire Turkic world. Her story lives on in mothers' tales, grandmothers' lullabies, and poets' verses. Because she wasn't just a warrior, she became the symbol of freedom, honor, and the power of women. She protected Turkic lands, avenged her son, and never bowed to any enemy. Today in Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, and beyond, her name is spoken with pride. She reminds us of our roots. She lights the way forward, and every Turkic girl who hears her story feels something awaken inside her. The strength of Tomyris. Fact 10. Tomyris's death was as powerful as silence. History spoke of her battles, her victories, her vengeance. But her death was not loud, like war. It was quiet, like a mother's final prayer. In her final years, Tomyris laid down her sword. She chose peace over battlefields and spent her days watching over her people in silence. She grew old gracefully, but the fire in her eyes never faded. Legend says that one morning, as the sun rose over her homeland's endless plains, Tomyris closed her eyes. With no sorrow, only peace. Her death was like a falling star, silent, yet powerful enough to change the sky. Today, her grave may remain unknown, but in every inch of Turkic land, her spirit, her strength, her legacy still lives. Because true heroes may die, but they are never gone. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the life of Queen Tomyris. If this video inspired you, don't forget to hit the like button. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think was Tomyris's greatest strength? Was it her ability to inspire women, or the fear she struck into the hearts of her enemies? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to talk with you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more epic and untold stories from history. See you in the next video.